Hello and welcome. What I'm going to do just quickly take you to the slideshow. Hope you can hear me okay. So I'm going to do it from the beginning. Hoodoo. So welcome. You've joined this workshop and been given the relevant codes. To the left of the classroom is a quiz area. Once you've completed your quiz, please do email team@thedigitalpsychic.com. You'll receive a certification of completion once you get over 85% or more in the quiz. Once everything has been completed. So you are welcome to continue development with me and request to join Facebook Messenger practice area. Please do contact Rachel Gibson, BA Honours page. I hope you do enjoy the workshop or short course. I do use various resources and discuss via webinar, bringing you useful resources from the internet and collaborating it with my own experiences. So, what is root work? Hoodoo, also known as root work, is a southern folk magic grounded in centuries of African American heritage. Also known as conjure, Hoodoo is often known by other names, including conjure, root work, root doctoring, laying tricks, working roots, or doing the work. Hoodoo is not voodoo, okay? A lot of people get the two mixed up, okay? Hoodoo blends together magical technology of Congo slaves that were taken from Africa in the slave industry, in the slave trade, combined with the Native American herbal knowledge. So it's bits of, say, European folk magic and also Jewish. It is not a religion, it's a system. And some would have been Protestant Christians and also prayed to the Lord's Prayer and Psalms as well. So they can be called root workers, hoodoos, spellcasters, doctors, headed doctors, and the relationship between the magical practitioner and his guiding spirit. Okay, so it's very important to understand because people will say, I had it the other day. Oh, that's black magic. No, okay, hoodoo is not black magic. Basically, Africans were brought over on slave ships and they brought their beliefs and their practices with them. So it originated in the southern United States, but it can be found in major metropolitan areas to the north. So you get them from everywhere. They would mainly been in Maryland, in spirituality and Christianity, but it was also due to the Africans being brought over on slave ships. So they brought their beliefs and their practices with them. So what they actually did was bring us knowledge. Hoodoo root work just emphasizes the power of natural magic and the practitioner over prayers to deities, allowing hoodoo to exist outside of specific spiritual or religious belief systems. So root workers will pray the Lord's Prayer during their spell work. They see this as a way of God assisting in their work. The work can still take place whether the person prays to a specific psalm or not, and they also will draw upon saints. It's more of a practical approach to magic. And getting results is very important. I'm very drawn to hoodoo, and what I do is mix I always call it divine spellcasting because I've called it something myself. But hoodoo is basically what I do is I use angels and I use higher white beings. I use divine source and energy. I'm not even, I'm a traditional witch in terms of certain aspects of my work. And I respect that there's other cultures and different witches and crafts out there. But I'm more drawn to a loving creator, um, because I prefer to work with angels, saints, and God and Jesus and stuff like that. That's me, and it is down to who your chosen deity is. But that's what hoodoo is, and it's very, very misunderstood. Because God in the Old Testament was fiery, protective God. And why, what is wrong in calling upon his justice? It's just personal accounts, it's personal belief. And a lot of conjure doctors will not actually engage in any hurtful enemy work or any dark magic. So, it's very important. It's not evil. And it's known that actually in some southern areas, um, hoodoo could be regarded with respect or with great fear. Hoodoo rootwork power is undeniable. So what you do is you pray to the Lord God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost to empower the work. And there's lots of divination work and other stuff that is used in this modality. So we're going to look at the saints and hoodoo. So Saint Anthony is the saint for finding lost items, keys, lovers. Saint Joseph pay rises, job getting, home affairs, home sales, passage to easier death. Saint Barbara is protector of death and battles. Expedite helps bring faster results. Saint Christopher protects travels. Saint Francis protects animals. Saint Clare guides one to wisdom and light. Raymond protects against foes. Saint Anne is mother's, childbirth, grandmother's, infant of Prague and protects children. Saint Gerard is pregnancy, motherhood. Saint Martha is protection and used to keep a man faithful. St. Jude works in possible cases of cancer. Mary Magdalene is the perfumer, hairstylist, pharmacist, and lots of other wonderful, beautiful things. St. Peter opens the door to businesses. St. Bridget protects babies, children, travellers, scholars, and sailors. St. Benedict, protector from witchcraft, illness, sickness, and heals the sick. And then we have our lucky lady of Guadalupe, which is the Blessed Virgin, blessings, love, healing, and protection. So just to talk about basically what hoodoo is and how you can use it for various things. So fortune telling or divination can be used. Many conjure doctors are in the process of doing that root work. Divination, so using your cards in crystal ball, will allow your hoodoo root work to find out all the factors that are at play in a situation. So it determines the best course of spell work. So you can use the divination, you can use the crystal ball, you can use cards in this practice. Divination, they tend to also use things like bones, shells. They're mixed and selected at random as a way of communicating with God for guidance. The word divine, divination. See the word divine there? It shares the same roots as both point to God and presence in the work. And that is what hoodoo is. It's a connection to the higher force. That's why I call mine, if you notice, divine casting. It's the reason behind it. It's because I believe in higher power. I believe in mixing everything, but I don't work with dark magic. I'm a light worker. I'm a white witch, whatever you call it, whatever way you see white, that's how I sort of am. And that's what I teach. So basically what they say is that hoodoo doctors help find custom magical courses of action to get the results that you seek. Root workers prepare spells at fixed prices. But hoodoo is not voodoo. It's very important. It's a southern folk magic from the United States, developed by the black descendants of African slaves that were brought to this country. As already mentioned, hoodoo workers were Protestant Christians. Voodoo is a distinct religion that comes from the island nation of Haiti, spelled Haiti. And it evolved in the Caribbean and as a result of the slave trade's destructive legacy. So it was like voodoo practitioners don't worship God. Well, they do worship God and Jesus, mainly through the praying of French Catholic prayers, through Catholic masses. So, you know, there's an aspect of religious debate amongst those believing in hoodoo and voodoo. So it's very, very important to understand and differentiate between the two. So root workers used to utilize and conjure, hence the word conjure, you see, spells and techniques before performing spells. And the techniques range from lightly dressed candles, spell work, to very complex mojo bags, also herbal baths, floor washing, and right the way through to, you know, complex spells, witch bottles, which I will be teaching you to do, and I'm going to really look forward to that. Okay, and what you actually do is, I'll just describe it to you now, is you get like a little bottle, you put all rust, nails, all sorts of things at the bottom. You can, it's up to you, it's choice, but people do urine in it. And what they do then is wrap around like a red ribbon. And then what you would do is seal it in, say, a glass bottle. You would seal it with black wax, drip it around the edge of the top of the bottle. And then what you would do is put it into a hidden area. You know, that wards off evil spirits. So it's things like that. And that's what we were doing. It's all about protection and doing love herb baths, you know, love potions. It's very magical. Whereas witchcraft, even though you know, you do spells and stuff like that, it's not as intricate, I wouldn't say, as much as hoodoo. Hoodoo is very, very rooted, hence why it's called root work. We do hoodoo candle spells, and we'll be doing all of these wonderful things, making mojo bags, magical sachet powers, oils. You can even do doll baby spells and all sorts of things. It's extremely, extremely magical and very, very creative. So if you've got a creative mind, I feel that hoodoo is most probably better for you. I know that some students here that I feel this really fits into their bag, so to speak. But people will get a bit like, I know not many people have actually gone for the course, and I know why, because I guarantee you they're thinking it's voodoo. And someone actually said to me, advanced magic, this is black magic, and it's not. It's the practice of spirituality carried by the United States by the Africans. It was because of the slave trade. It blended the practices of all the different people from, say, Nigeria and places like that. And it varied by region. And basically, the slave owners taught people the practices of their culture. And it goes back a long, long time ago. And it was actually documented in American English in approximately 1875 to 1876. And hoodoo manifests in healing potions. parapsychological powers and things like this, but it's not to do with black magic. And it's the same with anything. So basically, if you're doing witchcraft, if you're doing hoodoo, if you're doing whatever you're doing, it's always about intention. So it's important to understand that whilst you're practicing something, essentially it is the intention and how you go about doing that. But the spells actually date back, so we're talking 1800s. It's not a religious system as such, but it was characterized by the concept that humans governed spiritual balance, like an equilibrium, by devotion to God. But it was around, say, the 19th century when Christian influenced it. So that's where we would have got, the Protestant Catholic aspect of hoodoo into fruition. It's very interesting. Obviously, very different, and it's entirely up to you. Your thoughts on it. And the perfect thing about this is actually looking at all the different aspects of religion in terms of culture. I mean, for me, all religion, in a sense, is it's cultural. It's based on something that intermixes. So it's African tradition portraying exclusively their own culture within our society, and that's something for me that should be appreciated. That we are one, and once again, it's that oneness. It's understanding that we are all connected and part of a very intricate, a very vast net. And it's all to do with yourself as well, and your own power, your own personal magic, using formulas, methods, spells, techniques to really understand you as a person, but not just you as a person, but those magical properties of our natural environment and our natural world, such as herbs, roots, minerals, animal parts, personal possessions, all those things that are so, you know, important to us, because some things get wasted. And of course, with the Africans and different cultures, they would have actually had natural resources and only had natural resources around them and used everything that they could use. It's to allow people to harness their own supernatural forces to improve their daily life. Now, voodoo actually comes from an African word meaning spirit or God. So voodoo, VODOU, is an African religion that compromises traditional African religious practices of various tribes. Sorry about the dogs barking. Talking about nature and dogs start barking off, but we will be doing this over again. And as a wrap up, I always will finish going through the whole course rather than having it in parts. So please don't worry. That was influenced by Catholics and the saint images. So as you can see, it's not complex, but with anything, as you're learning, what you will learn is different ways of actually practicing and practice them within your own right. But they do share. So hoodoo and voodoo share the same roots, and that's why it's root work. So it would be the same roots in Africa, and it actually mixed. So it's mixed belief system. So you'd have pagans, ancient worshippers, European religion. But the main difference in hoodoo and voodoo is actually an existing religious practice by people, while the former is considered folk magic. So hoodoo is folk magic. Voodoo is more of a religion. It's an institution and established, and it has sort of leaders and representatives of that religion. Where folk magic is more open, more one. Voodoo isn't actually dark either, and people get this misconception that, oh, voodoo black magic, and I think that's to do with ignorance. If I was honest with you, ignorant because it's from Africa, so straight away people get connotations because what these people are black. That is so wrong, and I practice anti-discriminatory practice, and I feel that people are scared of judo and voodoo purely because of their own misconceptions of how they're viewing something, because they don't understand culture. We should be celebrating everyone's culture, understanding everybody has a different tradition. And it's important because if we're all one, essentially, isn't that what it's about? Growing together, learning different cultures, learning those different techniques. Voodoo, all they do is evoke Catholic saints. Voodoo is practiced by non-Roman Catholics, while hoodoo practitioners are often Roman Catholics who use both African concepts of God and saints of Catholics too. And also hoodoo practices spiritualism. So if you look at it like hoodoo is a very personal thing. It's a solo. So you're on your own. You're practicing on your own. It's to do with your personal power. And then look at voodoo as an organization. That's the best way to look at the two, to differentiate. But it's knowledge. And it's just knowledge of herbs, minerals, and all the things that are natural to us. All to do with a natural power. So basically, hoodoo is a blend. If you think of it as a blend, it's a mix of foreign beliefs and religions, paganism, everything, combined into one. The thing is, with any concept, it is perception as well. But voodoo is a culture. It's more of a culture and a way of life. I mean, I'm teaching you voodoo here as well. So what will be, it's a combined. I'm going to combine the two because you're going to have to learn the difference, because people will ask you when they're coming to you, oh, so it's voodoo, oh, voodoo magic, like straight away, that voodoo doll, it's that misconception in their minds almost. They're very popular still in France, voodoo. So voodoo, for example, would be, if you think of culture, music, heritage, language, medicines, justice, and think of it as a system, just to summarize, because it's important for me to summarize this. Voodoo, if you view it as a religion, hoodoo is traditional folk magic. So voodoo will have a system, which hoodoo won't. Voodoo aren't necessarily affiliated with any other religions, but hoodoo is practiced by religion, by Roman Catholic. And voodoo came by the way of Haiti, Haiti, whereas hoodoo came straight from Africa. So a voodoo practitioner also be referred as a Bogisant. And hoodoo practitioners on the other hand, are root doctors, but they're both root work. It's very, I mean, they're very, very similar, but see it as like one's singular and one's a system. So just like say you're a soul trader, that's hoodoo. If you see it in that sort of light, I'm trying to like use metaphors. And if you see voodoo as an organization, that's the best way to describe it, just to get to the basics of it before we go into it more later. So it's a process, it's a belief, sort of a belief, but it's personal. And that's the thing, it's about personal. You think of Southern America, Native American, Africans, but also think of terms of Christianity as well. Because what would have happened was there would have been an attempt to convert slave workers into other religious practices, and that would have felt under threat. So basically, what they would have done is swapped their knowledge. And Christians would have believed because they were black that they were African and they were worshipping the devil. So what they wanted to do was convert the slaves to Christianity. But there were areas where there was Catholics, which was very dominant in certain regions, like New Orleans and places like that. So what happened was it mingled. So a lot of Christian saints will often become associated with the spirits and the deities. It's all to do with the Great Migration. Very interesting. It's a very, very interesting subject area. And for me, it's the way, it's the way to go. It's what we should be doing, mingling, mixing, learning, developing, promoting that anti-discriminatory practice in all of our work, being one, understanding why people have different culture and having different meanings and the different associations to what we learn. For me, that's what it's about because that bridges the gap and it links with all the work that is to do with spirituality, the 12 DNA strands, the angels, the crystals, the everything. It all blends into one. It should do. There shouldn't be any one's better than the other. Folk magic, folklore, exploring the historical and contemporary information about these arts is just wonderful. Indigenous. I love it. I love indigenous. I love tradition. I love the herbalism and the religions and the roots and the Africa and stuff like that. I love Africa. It's one of my biggest dreams is to go there. You know, the best writers and the practitioners out there would have been best, you know, at this belief and this practice of arts. And if you actually go to the British Library, there's a lot of text written, and it's actually used in Harry Potter, some of the hoodoo and voodoo spell work. So what they do is essentially believe in divine providence, believing in that higher power. They do a petition, is what it's called. You give a petition for prosperity or for abundance. They believe in active interest in affairs of human and to have the ability of influencing others' lives. And also they believe in life after death. Along with belief in higher power comes the belief in the continual existence of the soul after we've been physically on this plane. So root workers are all about the roots. If you think of the tree, And they look at the work with the spirits of the dead in the form of ancestors and the roots of all of our being. The spirits connect with them by blood. And they believe the spirit doesn't die, but ascends to another level, guiding us on our daily journeys, interacting with God in that divination, divine divination, the ability to foresee the future and communicate with spirit, allowing us as individuals to analyze the past and the present and connecting us with probabilities and forwarding us on our spiritual journey. Believing in justice, an eye for an eye, and the intention that it will be fulfilled by God and only by God. It's a magical practice originated in a wonderful country in Africa, and I'm really looking forward to teaching you some of the wonderful work that can be carried out through this amazing course. So, other saints. We've got St. George, soldiers, horsemen, defender, butchers, field workers, farmers, cavalry. Holy Family is peace, loyalty, and family. St. Helena is widows, divorcees, difficult marriages. St. Lucy's writers, poets, journalists. St. Sophia's wisdom enlightening student. And St. Michael, of course, is the archangel, the angel, not a saint, but used to defend in battle, the protector from the evil foes and demons. I hope you enjoyed this short course. Part 1 will be lots of parts of this. Thank you for joining me. See you. Part 2 will be updated in the schedule that is on the front page of Rachel Gibson, CAN's Facebook page. And if you have missed class, please don't worry. If you are doing this as something that you want to do over time, over a duration, it will be put into easy class for you to follow in the next part 2 if you're not able to meet that schedule. Thank you.